Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Saturday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, one of our aces, it is Bryce Miller. And on the right for the Tigers, Parker Meadows. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. All right, 1 second here. All right, I had to make a lot of adjustments since there has some issues with the overall updates that they've doing. So let me start over here really quick. Leading off here for the Mariners is Cole Clutch Young. Batting second, center fielder, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, first baseman, it's Nails Josh Naylor. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, left fielder, Randy Arosarena. Batting fifth, playing right field, Luke Raley. Batting sixth, DHing, Dominic Canzone. Batting seventh, playing third base, Patrick Wisdom. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, Colt Emerson. And batting ninth, catcher, Johnny Pareda. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 1-0 record, ERA of 1.71, it is Bryce Miller. And now let's get into the starting lineups here for the Detroit Tigers. Leading off for the Tigers at second base, Gleyber Torres. Batting second, playing shortstop, Kevin McGonigal. Batting third, catcher, Dylan Dingler. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, DHing for Detroit, Kerry Carpenter. Batting fifth, playing left field, Riley Green. Batting sixth, playing first base, it's Spencer Torkelson. Batting seventh, playing third base, Colt Keith. Batting eighth, playing center field, Matt Vierling. And batting ninth, playing right field, Wenzel Perez. And on the mound for the Tigers with a 2-3 record, ERA of 3.69, it is Kiter Montero. Right ends up, let's go M's. And again, I've tried to be able to play around with some of the other options with buttons that I have, considering they made updates, and it's not working the way as it should, obviously seamlessly going from one photo to the next. It shouldn't be showing me in between. And again, I tried taking myself out, but then the audio obviously disappeared. And then I was thinking about taking out the baseball card background, and then it still ends up going to kind of a black screen in between. But then you can't hear me if I'm not obviously activated with the mic. So I've already emailed them twice, and I don't want to have to cancel their services if they don't fix this. But, definitely frustrating. But again, we'll get through it the best way that we can. And again, I'm definitely looking forward to a little bit of redemption, from yesterday. We got a stronger left-handed lineup. And obviously we got Johnny Pareda in there instead of Mitch Garver. And I like our chances. You got Luke in there. You got Dom. You got Cole Young leading off. So again, we'll see how this ends up turning out this early morning. 10:10 a.m. Pacific time. Again, a very early start for us here. MSU in the building. What's good, Tigers? I see you. Mike in the building. How are you? Courtney in the building. What's good? And we're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Kaider Montero on the mound to start it off, and leading off for the very first time for the Mariners in his career, Cole Clutch Young. First pitch to Young, pops it up. Should be a routine play here. Gleyber Torres is there, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Hope Cole will be able to work the count, because obviously getting off to a fast start is definitely going to be ideal for us moving forward. Next up for the Mariners in the 2-hole, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. First pitch to Julio right down the middle for a strike, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch fouled off right down the middle. Change up 86 miles an hour there by Kaider Montero. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Tomorrow's game will, be a little bit early, a little bit later than today, about 30 minutes after, but it'll still be early, 10:40 a.m. Pacific for that last matchup tomorrow morning. 0-2 pitch from Montero, low and away to Julio Rodriguez. No balls and 2 strikes to J-Rod here in the top of the first inning with nobody on and 1 out. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. One-two pitch. Little check swing there by Julio, but does not go around on that knuckle curve. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Montero to Julio Rodriguez. 2-2 pitch, and a little dribbler up the middle. Good defense there by the Tigers. Throw to first just in time. Good hustle there by Julio, but just couldn't make it to first base in time. Great defense there by Detroit. And McGonigal, we'll see if they end up challenging this or not. All right, we are challenging here. Strong throw there by McGonigal, and it was the first base umpire that calls him out, but let's look again. Ooh, that's close. Very, very close. I mean, they do say what tie goes to the runner. Julio's foot is on the bag as the ball is entering the mitt. Again, it should be what tie goes to the runner, but we know that necessarily isn't always the case with the new rule changes and obviously with the ABS. But it looked like Julio was safe just in the nick of time. But again, it's obviously within a half second of each other. It's kind of a bang-bang play here. Good throw by McGonigal. And does look like Julio gets his foot down on the bag, because a lot of times you see the foot up, not touching the bag, And then obviously that's the determining factor. It's just a little bit of air in between the foot and the bag itself. But on this particular play, it looks like Julio does get his foot down in time, but we'll find out if that's, what they agree with or not here. But I like the ABS. It's good to be able to get the calls correct, and they're still reviewing the play right now. And, sometimes you're going to get calls to go your way, and other times it's going to go against you. But I definitely feel that baseball has improved dramatically with the ABS. It's holding these umpires that are blind, that need contacts or glasses, that are too old, that hold grudges, that can't, be that way anymore. If a player pisses you off, you can't, shrink out the strike zone and whatnot. So, again, it's definitely better for the game, and they're still looking at this play. So, and they are calling him out. Wow. I thought Ty goes to the runner, but apparently not. And again, I've seen a lot of these bang plays this year, and that was one of the ones that, out of the many that we've seen, look like, hey, we might be able to get this one to go in our favor, but apparently not. Ty does not go to the runner, and like I mentioned, that was the rule in the past, but I guess not here, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up is Josh Naylor. First pitch, four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour right down the middle. Fouls that into left field, out of play, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Tries to jam Naylor again, high and inside with a four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Montero to Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. And obviously, we have our stronger lineup in today with our strong lefty bats. Cole Young leading off. JP's still injured day-to-day with the hand. 0-2 pitch. And a hard hit ball there into right field, fading out of play and foul. Nice souvenir for those fans out there. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. Oh, 2 pitch from Montero, low and away with the knuckle curve, 80 miles an hour missing by Montero. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. Kyder Montero on the mound, Josh Naylor in the box. 1-2 pitch to Naylor. Little dribbler up the middle. Gleyber Torres is there. Throw to first, and that is 3 up and 3 down. Tiger defense is definitely on point here early to start off the game. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Tigers in the bottom of the first inning. Leading off for the Tigers at second base, Gleyber Torres. Batting second, shortstop, Kevin McGonigal. And batting third, catcher, Dylan Dingler. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 1-0 record in ERA of 1.71, it is Bryce Miller. Right ends up. Let's go, M's. Gained a sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 91 subs to go to 24,300. We're shooting for 100 on the Dono train as well as the likes. And let's see where we're at on the likes so far here early in the matchup. We're at 19. 81 to go. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. All right, 6-man rotation, obviously, we have at the moment. Well, that won't last for too long, but we'll see how it all plays out here moving forward. First pitch from Miller to Torres. Big swing and a miss with the four-seam fastball high and away. 0-1 count. One pitch, high and away with a four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Torres. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-1 pitch from Miller, high and away, painting that corner beautifully and getting the call. Cutter, 91 miles an hour right there on the corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Torres. One-two pitch. Popped up into right field and out of play with the slider. 88 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Torres. Dank in the building. What's good? 10:10 start this morning, 10:40 start tomorrow, so slightly later, but still very, very early for a lot of us. I got a long walk in with the pup and got a little bit of breakfast, and I'm ready to go. And hopefully the Mariners are as well. Definitely need to try to even up this series after the L yesterday. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour there by Miller. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. Two-two pitch, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Gleyber Torres. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Got to respond early and often, and hopefully Miller will be clean for a majority of his start. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Gleyber Torres, and a good start there for Bryce Miller. First batter, first punch out. We like that. 1 up and 1 down. Nice job there by Bryce Miller. And based on how Miller has pitched, even though, he was injured for a good majority, of the season, he just ended up coming to the team recently, but at the moment, probably looking like our strongest pitcher going into this start. So again, we've seen obviously with Wu and Kirby kind of go up and down. Hancock has been pretty consistent for us. And then obviously Gilbert and Castillo kind of on the back end. But again, we'll see how it all kind of evens out as we get closer to the All-Star break. 1-0 pitch, popped up and out of play. Slider low and at the knees on pitch number 1, and a pitch high and away with a four-seam fastball. Getting the line high and away, but fouled off there by McGonigal, the phenom there for the Tigers. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to McGonigal. 1-1 pitch, fouled off towards third base and out of play. Splitter, 85 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to McGonigal. Now, JP is out for today. He is day-to-day after getting hit on the hand yesterday there by Framber Valdez. So we won't see JP today, but there is a possibility that we may see him tomorrow or the next series against the Orioles on the road. They have Cole Young leading off for the very first time to take that spot. So 1-2 pitch, low and away with a slider, 86 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to McGonigal. Mariners TV. 2-2 pitch. Popped up into left field and out of play. Splitter, 86 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to McGonigal. Tigers have their phenom in McGonigal. We got ours with Colt Emerson. And this rookie class is one of the best it's ever had for MLB standards in the last 10 to 15 years. A lot of great rookies all across the board, about 10 or 15 of them that are really making big waves in the MLB. And usually that's not the case. Usually there's a couple, that usually really break out. But we've had a lot of guys break out this year as rookies, and that's a great sign for the MLB moving forward. 2-2 pitch incoming here from Miller to McGonigal. 2-2 pitch, and it gets McGonigal to pop up there to shallow center field. And Emerson is there playing shortstop right next to his buddy Cole Young, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Next up is the catcher, Dylan Dingler. First pitch to Dingler, fouls that one off. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 0-1 pitch for Miller, low and away. Sweeper missing there by Bryce. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Dingler. Let's go, Bryce. We need a good outing here today. 1-1 pitch. And Dingler crushes one into left field, but it's shallow left field and right into Randy Arosarena's glove. And that is 3 up and 3 down. I'm happy that we're not down 1-2-3-0 early. Great job there by Bryce Miller. And let's go to the top of the second inning and see who's up next here for Seattle. Next up for the Mariners in the 4-hole, left fielder Randy Arosarena. Batting second in the 5-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third in the 6-hole, DHing the Italian stallion Dominic Canzone. And on the mound for the Tigers with a 2-3 record coming in, ERA of 3.69, Tider Montero. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 91 subs to go to 24,300. We're getting very close of approaching 6 million views on the channel, which is fantastic. Gained 2 more subs since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 89 subs to go to 24,300. And we're at 31 likes so far. Good start with this early AM broadcast. 69 to 100. Joe in the building. What's good? 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners. 40 plus years on the radio for this legend and icon. He is retiring after this season. One of the greatest on the radio to do play-by-play in any sport. And we dedicate every stream this season to the legend and the icon, Rick Riz. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Hawks in the building. What's good? And I've reached out to StreamYard twice already. You know, obviously with AI taking over, it's terrible because you can't even talk to a real person. You know, everything is just AI. And again, when you end up having an issue that you need to have fixed, it would be great to be able to talk to a real person, you know, not a robot, you know, giving you a, you know, just a bland response. So I've already messaged them twice, but hopefully they'll be able to fix some of these issues and whatnot. And I know there's probably not very many people that are doing baseball besides myself. But again, you know, we want things to be seamless. And again, you know, it shouldn't be showing me in between the photos, but you know, again, with some of these updates that they've been making and with all of the different layers that I have on the stream, hopefully they'll be able to get it back to where it was. 1-0 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and no strikes from Montero to Arosarena. Knuckle curve low and away on pitch 1, 80 miles an hour. Change up high and inside, 85 miles an hour with a 2-0 count. 2-0 pitch, low and away. Good count here early for Randy Arosarena. That pitch is low and away with a sinker, 94 miles an hour there by Kiter Montero. 3 balls and no strikes to Randy Arosarena. 3-0 pitch, takes a strike. Randy thought it was a ball, started to make his way back to first base and had to backpedal there a couple steps. On deck is Luke Raley. 3-1 pitch, high and inside, and then that is ball 4. Randy Arosarena to first. And let's see if we can get a single, double, triple, or home run here from Luke Raley. First pitch from Montero to Raley. Crushes that one into left field. Out of play. Slider 84 miles an hour. 0-1 count. Let's go, Luke. Oh, 0-1 pitch from Montero. And another pitch crushed into left field as it goes actually back behind the plate to the Comerica Park bricks. No balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Let's go, Luke. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Top of the second inning, Randy Arosarena at first with the walk. And an 0-2 count here from Montero to Raley. 0-2 pitch, and he crushes another one, almost in the same location as that other pitch. No balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Slider, 4-seam, and a changeup so far with Montero. So obviously he's in his bag here early, trying to mix it up on Luke Raley. Dark Passenger in the building. What's good? Go M's. 0-2 pitch, little blooper here into left field. Oh, and another diving grab. Wow, Riley Green, he's all over it, man. And again, he's made, quite a few diving outs yesterday, and he continues that hot streak with the great defense out there in left. Riley Green, I mean, if it was anybody else, that probably would have turned into, runners at first and second, maybe even runners at first and third if it gets behind him. But obviously, I appreciate great defense. Unfortunately, when it happens against us, it stings, but I can appreciate a great defensive play. 1 up and 1 down. Down goes Luke Raley. Next up is the Italian Stallion, Dominic Canzone. First pitch is high and away with the knuckle curve, 78 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Let's go, Dom. He's had 7 home runs and 23 ribbies so far. And again, to be able to beat this Tiger team, especially with Luis Castillo on the mound tomorrow, we know how that typically goes. This is a must-win game for us, especially with Bryce on the mound and our strong lefty lineup going against a righty in Montero. We have to win today. 2-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss right down the middle with the changeup, 85 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first, Randy Arosarena. With 1 out, top of the second inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Tigers. Come on, Dom. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. And hopefully we'll get a few home runs in this matchup as well. And, obviously the sooner that we end up getting on the board, the better chances we have to be able to kind of set the tone early. And hopefully we'll get a few homers in this matchup as well. 2-1 pitch, just got a piece with the foul ball there. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Throw to first again. And almost got Randy. Looked like Randy was a little bit out of position there, but luckily he was able to slide back into first. And we know when Randy starts jumping around, we know he's going to go. But you want to be able to not be so obvious about it, You You want to make sure you can take off, and be able to steal a bag without them anticipating that they know you're running. And, hopefully Randy doesn't get thrown out at first. 2-2 pitch. And Canzone ends up dribbling it towards first base and foul. But I will say this, we have been pretty good on the double steal lately from guys at first and second going to second and third. But again, runners just going from first to second. It's been very hit or miss in 2026. 2-2 pitch from Montero. Low and at the knees. Count now is full. And the Tigers are challenging the call to see if this will be strike 3 or if it'll be a 3-2 count. And Dingler ends up losing the challenge, thank God. And now the count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Miller's at 17 pitches. 1.54 ERA. Should be able to go a solid 6 innings for us, maybe even 7. 3-2 pitch. And a hard hit ball there by Dominic Canzone in deep center field, all the way back to the wall. And they can't find the ball. Go, 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 go. And there we go. Randy Arozarena comes home. 1-0 Mariners. Fuck yes. Let's go. Great hit there by Dominic Canzone. And thankfully, Riley Green isn't out there in center field. And they got Vierling playing today, who didn't play yesterday. Goes over his head. Then he loses the ball for a split second as it's underneath him. And by the time he finds the ball, Dominic Canzone with a stand-up double. And Randy scoring from first base. Huge. 1-0 Seattle. Tridents up. And that's exactly what we needed. If we're not going to get home runs, we need deep hit balls to be able to get guys to come home from first base. And we know Randy's pretty quick. Great job there by Dom. 1-0 Seattle. Next up is Patrick Wisdom. First pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Little dribbler towards third base and foul. Sinker 93 miles an hour. Back-to-back sinkers. First pitch was high and away. Second pitch low and at the knees as he dribbles it towards third. No balls and 2 strikes to Patrick Wisdom. Yeah, no one anticipated that. I mean, to act like everyone thought the Knicks were going to win the first 2 games, no one anticipated that happening. I mean, if the Knicks end up winning the championship, it's going to be one of the biggest upsets in sports history. Not to say that the Knicks aren't a good team, but it's really the Spurs have lost those first 2 games. A lot of turnovers, and obviously Brunson and company are playing better than Wemby, and that's the bottom line. No one anticipated that whatsoever. So don't act like you're some Nostradamus, Kevin, and like you knew the Knicks were going to be up 2-0. Even Knicks fans didn't even think they would be up 2-0 at this point. So, but they're very pleasantly happy, and then we'll see what happens as it goes back to New York. But no one on planet Earth anticipated the Knicks going 2-0 in San Antonio. 2-2 pitch all the way back to Vierling and ends up making the catch. Tag up there from Dominic Canzone. And Canzone, does he end up making it over? And looks like he might still be at second base. Didn't get a chance to run over and tag up, unfortunately. Next up is Colt Emerson. First pitch to Colt Emerson in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Knuckle curve, 78 miles an hour, low and away. Montero on the mound, Emerson in the box. 0-1 pitch, popped up there by Colt. It's in foul territory and caught by Riley Green, obviously the defensive stud. And that is 3 up and 3 down, but not after. Dominic Canzone with a big stand-up RBI double, scoring Randy Arozarena from first base. 1-0 Seattle. Good start there for the Mariners, and obviously a great job there by the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. Now let's go to the bottom of the second inning and see who's up next here for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers in the 4-hole, DHing today, Kerry Carpenter. Batting second in the 5-hole, left fielder Riley Green. And batting third in the 6-hole, first baseman Spencer Torkelson. And on the mound for the Mariners, 1-0 record with an ERA of 1.71 coming in. It is Bryce Miller. Let's take a look at the stats so far. So 1 inning pitch, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, 1K, 17 pitches, 11 strikes. He's got his ERA down to 1.54 or 1.64, excuse me. And then with Keider Montero, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, no Ks, 34 pitches, 22 strikes with a 3.71 ERA, and came into the matchup with a 2-3 record in ERA of 3.69. $89 subs to go to 24,300. And we gained 2 more subs since the last commercial break. Actually, 4 more subs since the last commercial break. 85 subs to go to 24,300. And we're at 48 likes, 52 to go. First pitch from Miller to Carpenter, fouls it off right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and at the knees. Nasty splitter there by Bryce Miller. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Carpenter. Oh, 2 pitch, low and away, gets away there from Pareda. Slider 85 miles an hour, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. With nobody on and no outs, bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Seattle. Pitch fouled off right down the middle with the splitter, 85 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Mariners. One-two pitch. Big swing and a miss, 4-seam fastball there. Down goes Kerry Carpenter. Great job there by Bryce Miller. And that is 1 up and 1 down. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Like what I'm seeing out of Bryce. And again, you know, Wu had a couple bad starts, then a couple good ones, and then obviously didn't play very well yesterday. But, you know, we know Bryce hasn't had as much reps, you know, as all the other guys since he was hurt for a good chunk of the first part of the year. But normally when a guy is hurt for a good chunk of the year and makes his initial debut, usually they're very shaky and they don't look very good, you know, for maybe even a month or 2. But the opposite happened with Bryce. He's looked actually better than maybe even prior to the injury. And I'm glad that we have him on the mound here today. First pitch, big swing and a miss there by Riley Green, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away, splitter 85 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Green. And Riley Green is a fantastic hitter and defender out there in left field. Has made quite a few diving plays on us already in this series. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, splitter again, low and away, 86 miles an hour. Another punch out there from Bryce Miller. Great job. So again, we still think that, Brian Wu and George Kirby are still, top dogs on the staff. Just got roughed up a little bit lately, and hopefully they'll be able to turn it around. Miller and Hancock have been the surprise, obviously being better than expected. And then Castillo and Gilbert probably have been worse than expected. So a little bit of everything, But again, we got 6 pitchers, 5 good ones, one that's terrible, and Castillo, who's pitching tomorrow. But, it is what it is. First pitch is low and away, four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour to Spencer Torkelson, 1-0 count. Yeah, it also depends, when who's playing. If we have a lefty or a righty that we're going against. Normally, when Wu wins, we have our strong lefty lineup where we have Rayleigh and Canzone in, right? But if we go against a lefty like we did yesterday, and Wu's on the mound going against Framber Valdez, and then you got guys like Rob Refsnyder and Mitch Garver, and guys like that in the matchup instead, and Victor Robles, it's definitely a huge downgrade. It's hard to win games when you got 3 guys that you can't really trust. Even though Refsnyder played pretty good yesterday, obviously we would prefer Johnny Pereda over Garver. We would prefer Luke Rayleigh and Dominic Canzone over Refsnyder and Robles, even though I do like Victor in right field from time to time. But, it really just depends on who we match up against when we have our ace on the mound. 1-2 pitch, and dribbles that one foul. Knuckle curve. 86 miles an hour there by Miller. And again, luckily, when we were at home, when we were on our 8-game win streak, we went against a lot of right-handed pitching, starting and in the pen. But again, when we go against left-handed pitching, starting or in the pen, we typically struggle. It's not really ideal, but it is what it is at this moment. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and Bryce is looking fucking fantastic here early on. Great job there by Bryce Miller. And that is how many Ks for Bryce? 3 or 4 already. And that's his 4th K. Great job. 30 pitches, 22 strikes, 1.57 ERA, 4 Ks within the first 2 innings, pacing for 12 Ks, which is awesome. And again, we just need the bats to continue to hopefully have a little bit of life. Nice job by Dominic Canzone, doubling to center, scoring Randy from first, giving us a 1-0 lead here early. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. And let's see if we can end up adding a little bit more on this Detroit Tiger team. Next up for the Mariners in the 9-hole, catcher Johnny Pereda. And the way that Johnny has played lately makes a lot of Mariner fans, including myself, feel that this could be the new backup to Cal Raleigh, for the future, if they decide to move on from Mitch Garver, obviously, after this year. Batting second, 0 for 1, leading off for the very first time in his career, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. Now, J.P. Crawford got hit on the hand by Framber Valdez. He's day-to-day. Nothing was broken, which is great, and hopefully we see J.P. in the lineup, or he ends up making an appearance at some point tomorrow or against the Orioles in the next series. And batting third, 0 for 1, center fielder, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. End of the second inning, 1-0 Seattle. 85 subs to go to 24,300. And we gained 2 more subs since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 83 subs to go to 24,300. We're looking for our first dono on our dono train. Let's see where we're at on the likes here so far. 209 in the room. And we got 61 likes so far. We're off to a good start. First pitch is low and away with the slider, 85 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, high and away, hitting the corner of the strike zone there by Kiter Montero. 1 ball and 1 strike to Johnny Pereda. Sinker 94 miles an hour there by Montero. 1-1 pitch, popped up and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Montero to Pareda. Top of the third inning, 1-0 Seattle. Appreciate you, Billo. 1-2 pitch for Montero. Little check swing, low and away. Slider 86 miles an hour there by Kiter Montero. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the third inning, 1-0 Seattle. Two pitch, little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Rebecca in the building, how are you? Shout out to our female audience, like Rebecca, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. If we could just get everyone to play on the Bryce Miller level, and get everyone, to that point. We obviously have seen Kirby and Wu at that level, but obviously we've seen them with a few bad starts this year as well. But also it depends if we have our strong righty lineup in, or strong lefty lineup in, or our weak righty lineup in when those guys are on the mound. Hancock overall has been pretty damn good. A big surprise for us this season. Gilbert's been a little bit worse than expected, and Castillo has been absolutely terrible, like Andres Munoz as our closer. But again, our bullpen is one of the best in MLB. So even though we have had a lot of issues with the either lack of hitting or starting pitching going sideways or the bullpen being terrible at times, we still have obviously a top 10 starting pitching staff and one of the best bullpens in baseball, even though it doesn't feel like that to us all the time. But if you compare it to a lot of the other teams, there's a lot of teams bullpens that are a hella worse, than what we have been able to show in 2026. So we have to be thankful for that. Pitch is high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. 2-1 pitch, a little blooper into right, and it ends up going right into the glove. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Nice play there by Wencel Perez in right field on that Cole Young hit attempt. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. First pitch is low and away with the sinker, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, fouled off towards third base, out of play with the sinker, 94 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Trading for a player that's injured wouldn't be smart, especially what we would have to give up. So, Scooball's out of the question. He'll end up landing somewhere else, onto another team. But even though he does have Seattle ties growing up as a kid, that's not going to happen. Again, our team is good enough, at the moment where we don't need Scooball, especially with all the starting pitching that we have. I mean, really the only bad pitcher out of the 6 we have is Castillo. And we got guys, in the farm like Ryan Sloan and Kate Anderson that are killing it. So, we don't really need a pitcher like Scooball, compared to some of these other teams that, maybe only have 1 or 2 good starters and they have 3 guys that are shitting the bed. That would obviously be more of a team that he could help, unless he ends up going to, one of these other teams that has more money, to spend. So, but we don't need Scooball. But we'll see where he lands. Pitch fouled off low and away with the knuckle curve. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. And a 1-2 pitch and reaches out and gets a nice base knock into right field. Great job there by Julio Rodriguez. Great single. And again, just to see the patience and the maturity and the evolution of Julio being a good player in the first half of a baseball season for the first time in his career. It took him 5 years to get to this mature Julio, but I love it. We already knew he was a great defender. We already knew he was a great second half player, and every year in his career, even his rookie year, it's just about starting fast. And he's not been able to do that in his first 4 years. But this year, year number 5, he's finding a good rhythm. And first pitch to Josh Naylor, and a nice dribbler into right field. And now we got back-to-back hits here from Julio and Nails, Josh Naylor. And now we have a nice 2-out rally. And let's see if we can get back-to-back-to-back hits. And let's see if we can end up getting an RBI here for Randy Arozarena. JP is out. He's day-to-day. Nothing is broken, but obviously getting hit in the hand obviously is something that they're monitoring day-to-day from Framber Valdez. And a hard hit ball there by Randy is fair. Go, go, go. We're going to score at least a run here. Run, run. Julio comes home. Come home. Go, go, go. Slide. And safe. Yes, let's go. Josh Naylor sliding in at home. I hope he's okay. Looks like he got some dirt in his eyes. 3-0 Mariners. Let's go. This could be a challenge that gets overturned, and we, could have Naylor out, obviously, here at home. We obviously know Naylor isn't one of the fastest guys on the team. Ended up going head first and got some dirt to come into his eyes. But let's take a look at the replay here to see if the tag was made in time or not. Wow, it's close. Another bang, bang, 50-50 play. I thought Ty goes to the runner at first, and we didn't get the call early on. And this is pretty similar. It looks like just as his fingertips cross home plate, the tag is swiped on his hand. So, again, your guess is as good as mine. Is it going to be 3-0 Mariners, or is it going to be 2-0 Mariners? We'll find out here in a moment. But, again, we didn't get the 50-50 call at first base earlier. That ended up going to the Tigers, and let's see if they get another call to go their way. But very, very close play. And we've had a lot of these this season where it's, almost instantaneous. It's like you have the play and then the glove and the ball, or the tag and the fingers going into home plate or second base. Hell of an effort there by Josh Naylor, because, again, if he would have went feet first, easily out by a mile. But going head first, batting helmet, and it is safe. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. We finally get a bang-bang 50-50 play to go our way. And again, Ty didn't go to the runner at first, but I guess Ty goes to the runner at home with Josh Naylor. Hell of an effort. 3-0 Mariners. That's what I'm talking about. And that's exactly what we needed, based on our L yesterday. Obviously we had Wu on the mound, but we had a righty lineup. No Luke Raley, no Dominic Canzone, no Johnny Pareda. Having Garver, Rev Snyder, and Robles in kind of hurt us, but it's not like a lot of the other guys really did a whole lot, and JP ended up getting hurt. And again, we definitely needed this type of energy, with Bryce Miller on the mound, probably our hottest pitcher out of the 6 right now on the team. We know Wu and Kirby have been pretty good, but have lately hit a little bit of a wall. And then obviously with Emerson Hancock has been pretty solid all the way through. And then we obviously know with Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo, they're kind of on the back end. And we just got to hope that Logan can catch up to the others. And I don't really have any faith with Castillo. Throw to second, and Randy is safe. And again, how often do the Mariners go back to back to back, with hits? Not often. And it shows you, if you can get to that point, if you're not hitting home runs, and you can get 3 hits in a row, good things are going to happen eventually. It could end up being bases loaded, with those 3 singles, but you just got to hope one of them will be deep enough to bring somebody home. First pitch from Montero to Raley, takes a strike, looking low and away. 0-1 count. Double A in the building. What's good? Knuckle curve ends up getting fouled off right there down the middle by Kiter Montero. No balls and 2 strikes from Montero to Raley. That knuckle curve was 80 miles an hour right down the middle after throwing a 4-seam fastball low and away, 94 miles an hour by Kiter Montero. Great start here for the Mariners. Excellent pitching by Bryce Miller, and the bats are coming alive. 0-2 pitch popped up and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Alex with a tour, getting us started. Appreciate you, Alex. Alex puts us at 2:98 to go. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. Top of the third inning, 3-0 Mariners. And again, it's very important for us to be able to get going early and often. And I hope we get a few home runs in this game as well. 0-2 pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Montero. 1 ball and 2 strikes with with a runner at second, with 2 outs. Top of the third inning, 3-0 Seattle. Bryce Miller with a no-hitter so far, and we got 3 runs on 4 hits. That's exactly what I want to see. 1-2 pitch, fouled off there by Rayleigh. One ball and 2 strikes to Luke Rayleigh. Right hands up. Let's go, M's. Come on, Luke. 1-2 pitch, fouled off towards first base. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Montero to Rayleigh. Come on, Luke. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Luke Rayleigh, getting fooled by a nasty knuckle curve there by Keider Montero. But not after. The Mariners go back to back to back with hits, and Randy Arozarena doubles to right, Naylor and Julio scoring. Tigers challenged the call on the field, but the call was upheld. Naylor was safe, got his fingertips at home plate just in the nick of time. 3-0 Mariners, and Bryce Miller has a no-hitter. Okay, we love that. 2 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 Ks, and he's pacing now for 10, and in that 10 to 12 range, and 30 pitches, 22 strikes with a 1.57 ERA. And again, this might be the first time that we've seen a pitcher, get injured, miss a good chunk of the year, and play better than maybe he ever has in his career. Now, when we had, Logan Gilbert play for a little bit last year and miss a month and a half, he was terrible, for like the first month and a half, but then he got better. And then George Kirby missed the first 3 months of the season last year and was pretty shitty, early on. So Bryce is bucking the trend. And again, that's definitely something that we need to see, considering we've seen Wu and Kirby get roughed up lately. And obviously we know that Emerson Hancock has been pretty trustworthy for the most part when he gets run support. And then we just got to hope that Logan can catch up to Hancock and Miller and Wu and Kirby. And then with Castillo, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of hope in him or Mooney, but you can hope for them to at least be average instead of being terrible. All right, let's go to the bottom of the third inning and let's see who is up next for the Detroit Tigers. Next up for the Tigers in the 7-hole, third baseman Colt Keith. Batting second in the 8-hole, center fielder Matt Vierling. And batting third in the 9-hole, right fielder Wencel Perez. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. And on top of that, having Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan that are killing it in the Mariners farm system. We probably won't see Sloan until next year, but there's a very good probability that Cade Anderson will join the squad after the All-Star break at some point to add a little bit of help, in the bullpen. And then if there is an injury or two to some individuals, Cade could end up stepping in and filling in as a starter, at some point after the All-Star break if needed. So we definitely have a lot of depth with pitching, and that's something that we've always had for the most part. But obviously, this is probably the deepest staff that we've had in a long, long time, considering what we have in the farm coming up also. First pitch from Miller to Colt Keith, takes a strike looking high and away, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees with a splitter, 85 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller to Keith. 1-1 pitch, hard hit ball into the gap, and it drops in between Luke and Julio. Get it, Julio. And they're going to go for 3. Wow, a big triple there from Colt Keith. God, he's got some speed. And that was hit right in between the gap in between Julio and Luke Rayleigh. So no one really was in that, kind of middle ground. And Keith decided to take advantage and definitely ran really fast right out of the gate. and ended up going from second to third, and a stand-up triple there from Colt Keith. Got to try to be able to keep him stranded if possible. Well, we had a closer in Andres Munoz that was fantastic, top 5, top 10 for a number of years, but for this season in 2026, I don't know what happened. Slider grip wasn't good, and obviously he's in his own head, so it's kind of crazy to have someone go from top 5, top 10 closer to bottom 10, but I guess that's, the reality that we live in. But luckily, we have a couple guys that could be, replacing him if Dan were to do so, even though we know he probably won't. You got Jose Ferrer that could be the closer. Brash could be the closer. I don't think I would want Gabe as the closer, but I mean, you have a couple other guys that could potentially be the closer if needed. But I think it would be too much of an ego hit for Mooney to get benched, or to be pitching in the 8th instead of the 9th. But, he hasn't really proven that he's been good this year. 1-1 pitch, popped up, but you can definitely tell Castillo and Mooney have an ego, and I don't think Dan wants to step on those toes, but, it's not your job to be everyone's friend. It's your job to fucking manage. And you got to be able to tell people when they're not playing well and be able to make adjustments instead of just letting things, play out the way that you think they're going to play out. As Naylor makes that out in foul territory, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Down goes Vierling. Good defense there by Nails. Next up is Wencel Perez. Yeah, unfortunately, Brash didn't look very good in his last start, though. But again, he has been probably the most consistent, individual out of anyone, in the bullpen or as far as the closers in that staff. But again, baseball's hard. It's one of the hardest sports to play at a consistent level. Throwing a baseball, defending a baseball, hitting a baseball. I really feel, hockey and baseball are on a whole nother level as far as consistency to be great compared to like basketball and football that to me are a little bit easier to be consistently great at those sports. Obviously, you got to be a special athlete, to make the NBA and the NFL. There's no doubt about it. But to me, baseball and hockey are a hell of a lot harder. Being able to skate and defend and score goals and defend goals as a goalie, and then everything that you have to do in the baseball world as well. 1-1 pitch from Miller to Wencel Perez. Popped him up. Batting helmet flies off and out of play. Four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at third, Colt Keith, with a beautiful triple moments ago with 1 out. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 3-0 Mariners, and hopefully we can keep it 3-0. But again, there's a pretty good chance that they may end up getting at least 1 here unless Miller can punch out these last 2 guys or get a punch out and a pop-up or a ground out. 1-2 pitch. Wow, strikeout looking. There we go, Bryce. That's what I'm talking about. Wencel Perez is challenging, but let's see if we can end up getting this punch out. Yes! There we go. Another punch out there. Wencel Perez. They lose the challenge, and they're out of challenges, I believe, now. And we were out of challenges around the 4th, 5th inning, and it hurt us late in the game yesterday. And now the tides have turned a little bit, and I like that. Bryce Miller with 5 Ks already, pacing for 10. Let's go. And now we're 1 out away from keeping Colt Keith at third. First pitch takes a strike looking high and away. 4-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Next up is Gleyber Torres. Yeah, unfortunate, Billo, with Aaron Judge getting hurt. I might be a Mariner fan, but I am a fan of greatness. And, when I ended up getting an Aaron Judge ball in Seattle, obviously it took my fandom for him to another level. And, I love greatness, whether that be Judge or Ohtani, or some of the other individuals that have been consistent, like Schwarber with the home runs. And we got Munetaka Murakami on the White Sox, even though he's on the IL right now, but gave the White Sox an identity for the first time in many, many years. So, the game is in really good hands now. 0-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. And how did we keep the runner stranded at third? I'll tell you, Bryce fucking Miller. It's Miller time, baby. And most pitchers that give up a triple early, that still need to get a few outs, right? There's a sac fly, a bunt. There's something that typically happens that, brings that runner from third home, and again, to not have that guy come home, I mean, there's not very many pitchers in our staff that would be able to keep a runner stranded at third base with no outs or one out. But I guess Bryce Miller is in his bag, and I like it. End of the third inning, 3-0 Seattle. But I hope that Judge gets healthy. I look forward to the battles that we have against the Yankees. And again, we know that the Rays and the Yankees and the Guardians and the White Sox, were obviously the top dogs. We caught up, but now we're on the road for a long stretch. So it is possible that we could go below 500 again, but I'm hoping that we can still, stay above. 3 games here against the Tigers. Hopefully we win 2 out of 3, but it could be 1 out of 3. And I believe we got a 4-game set on the road against the Orioles, another team that doesn't have a great record, but when you're on the road, shit can go sideways. And then obviously we can play the Nationals after that. So in this 10-game series, I hope we can go 6-4, or better. But realistically, we might go 4-6 or 5-5. And let's pray that things don't go terribly wrong, because I think the worst that we would do is go 3-7. But based on how hard it took us to get above 500, even just 3 games, now we're only 2 games above 500 with 33 and 31. We want to be able to keep up with everyone else, but also we want to stay above 500. Let's see who's up next as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Next up for the Mariners, 1-for-1 with an RBI that got the party started, Dominic Canzone, the Italian stallion. Batting second in the 7-hole, third baseman Patrick Wisdom. I see you, Pat. And batting third in the 8-hole, who homered yesterday, Colt Emerson. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. 83 subs to go to 24,300. And we gained a few more subs. 3 more. Thank you so much. And now we only need 80 subs to get to 24,300. First pitch from Montero to Dominic Canzone with the knuckle curve, 77 miles an hour, high and away, 1-0 count. Let's go. Shows you how much better we are with a lefty lineup compared to a righty lineup. I mean, no disrespect to Garver and Robles and Rob Refsnyder, but, again, not as good as, Johnny Pareda, Dominic Canzone, and Luke Raley, obviously. And we know sometimes, Garver and Refsnyder and Robles will, make plays, but there definitely is a difference, when we have our stronger lineup in the game with a strong pitcher like Bryce Miller. And a deep, hard-hit ball by Dominic Canzone. Back, gone! Dominic Canzone strikes again. 4-0 Seattle. Let's go. 451 feet. What a fucking blast. Reflect in the building. What's good? Unbelievable. We're at 2 on the Dono train so far, 98 to go. Reflect in the building. What's good? Let's go, baby. Nice job there by Dominic Canzone. Julio and the rest in the dugout are hyped. Let's go. Much better than what we had yesterday. Patrick Wisdom with a little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Nice job there by Dominic Canzone. Gets a heater high and up and crushes it. Next up is Colt Emerson. And this is exactly what we needed. When you get home runs early and often, and you're putting together a perfect type of game, pitching has been immaculate. Bryce is probably our best pitcher right now, based on how he's played. Wu and Kirby have kind of gone through ups and downs lately, and more downs as of late, unfortunately. Hancock has been pretty good, and then obviously Gilbert and Castillo are kind of on the back end. But again, we got Bryce on the mound, our hottest pitcher at the moment, with our lefty lineup that's very strong, and obviously a much different outcome than what we saw yesterday against the Tigers, with Wu on the mound with a weaker righty lineup. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees, 2 balls and 1 strike to Colt Emerson. Reflect with a tenner. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. Especially having to go to the vet, 3 times in roughly a month. So every dollar will help out with that. 2-1 pitch, popped up and in foul territory and caught. Damn it. Colt Keith with some good defense there. I was hoping that was going to drop for Colt and he would have another swing at it, but unfortunately, good defense there by the Tigers. And that is 2 up and 2 down. First pitch to Johnny Pareda, fouls that one off towards third, 0-1 count. Top of the fourth inning, 4-0 Mariners. This is exactly what we want to see. Bryce Miller with a one-hitter, and on top of that, 4 runs with 5 hits. No errors either. Solid performance, one of the better performances we've seen within the first few innings of a game, and hopefully we can keep pouring it on. Got to win this game, and we got Castillo on the mound tomorrow, which we know could go definitely very sideways quick. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away, no balls and 2 strikes from Kiter Montero to Johnny Pareda. 0-2 pitch, low and away, good eye there by Johnny. Slider 85 miles an hour, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. 4-0 Seattle. Let's go. Longest home run hit by the Mariners this season was by Dom just moments ago. 451 feet. 1-2 pitch, hard hit ball there by Pareda and foul. And if you're just tuning in, Canzone doubled to center in the second. Arozarena scored from first base all the way home. 1-0 Mariners. And then obviously Arozarena doubled to right. Naylor and Julio scoring. Tigers challenged with the tag on Naylor diving home, but it was upheld. 3-0 Mariners. And then we saw Canzone just homer moments ago. 451 feet to center. 4-0 Seattle. And Johnny Pareda showing us that he's better than Mitch Garver. Nice job there by Johnny. And again, this could end up being the new backup catcher for Cal Raleigh moving forward if they decide to move on from Garver. Nice job. Nice job, Johnny. And we know obviously with Garver and Johnny, they're not the greatest hitters. So if you can get 1 or 2 hits, or even a hit and a walk, or a hit and a hit by pitch, just something where they're on base 2 times out of 4 or 5 at-bats, that's huge for guys that you don't really have a whole lot of faith in. But Johnny has been getting better as of late. Next up is Cole Clutch Young, who's leading off for the very first time for the Mariners because J.P. Crawford got hit in the hand by Framber Valdez. He did not have anything broken through the x-rays, which is good. He is day-to-day, and we may see J.P. tomorrow or in the series against the Orioles, I would assume. First pitch takes a strike looking low and away, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, tries to jam Cole Clutch Young and does. And Wencel Perez is in right field, calling off everyone else, and that is 3 up and 3 down. But not after the Italian Stallion makes everyone know who he is with a big 451-yard blast, the longest home run by any Mariner this season, and we go up 4-0 with Bryce Miller on the mound pitching an immaculate game. Let's go. Power Code in the building. What's good? I mean, we definitely needed this win. It was must win, especially based on how we played yesterday. I mean, we had Brian Wu on the mound, and normally he's good. But again, with a righty lineup, it didn't produce enough runs or hits. And on top of that, defense could have been a little bit better. And the Tigers just kicked our ass yesterday. I mean, plain and simple, 7-3. But now we're getting a little bit of payback and a little bit of an edge and a little bit of a swagger. Hopefully this will carry over to Castillo's start tomorrow. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers, 0-for-1, the phenom shortstop, Kevin McGonigal. Batting second in the 3-hole, catcher Dylan Dingler. And batting third, 0-for-1 with a K, DHing Kerry Carpenter. Tridents up, let's go M's. 80 subs to go, do 24,300. We're at 12 on the dono train, I believe, 88 to go. And let's see how close we are to 100 likes with 237 in the room. We're at 95, we're almost there. We're on the doorstep. So if we can get 5 people out of the 238 in the room right now to hit the like button, we'll be over 100 and we'll be on our way. Mando in the building. What's good? Great job by Bryce Miller coming into the matchup with a 1-0 record, ERA of 1.71. And this might be the first time that we've seen someone that was hurt and looking better than maybe they ever have in their career. We always knew Bryce was one of the dogs, in the group, but I think he was more on the, Gilbert and Castillo level, maybe, towards like the middle and the back end of the rotation. And, based on how he's played after missing a good chunk of the year, I mean, I don't think anyone has looked better than what we've seen out of Bryce Miller, even though it is a small sample. We need to see a little bit more, but hopefully Bryce will continue to pitch this way for a majority of the rest of the year. And again, remember, it also depends, if we're going against a lefty or a righty. Now, if Bryce Miller, is going against a lefty right now, and let's say he's going against Framber Valdez like Wu did yesterday, we're probably not up 4-0 right now, because obviously Dominic Canzone isn't playing, so again, it shows you how important, Canzone and Rayleigh are, when we end up going against right-handed pitching. And we went on our 8-game win streak at home. We went against a lot of right-handed pitching, starting and the bullpen. So it shows, when we go against lefties, whether it's starters or in the pen, we struggle. And we obviously have a weaker lineup as well, but so far so good here with Bryce and the Seattle Mariner offense. 1-1 pitch, high and away with a splitter, 84 miles an hour, 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 4th inning, 4-0, Tridents up. 2-1 pitch, high and away from Miller to McGonigal, who is a phenom just like Colt Emerson. There's an amazing rookie class, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. It's probably the best rookie class that the MLB has seen in the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, you got 10 or 15 guys that are just killing it all across the board. 3-1 pitch, high and away, and McGonigal is walked. Sean in the building. What's good? Next up is Dylan Dingler. And again, I was a little curious, to see how we would play early in the morning. Obviously, there it's a little bit different, but for us here on the West Coast, obviously a 10:10 a.m. start is not ideal. Tomorrow is 10:40 a.m., but, again, so far so good here. Dingler with a hard hit ball into center field, and Julio all the way back to the warning track, making the catch. Great defense there by J-Rod, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Great job there by J-Rod. Julio Rodriguez in the no-fly zone. Next up, here in the bottom of the 4th inning with a 4-0 lead for Seattle is Kerry Carpenter. First pitch to Carpenter, fouls it up, and Naylor is over by the railing, but it goes obviously into the crowd behind the Tiger dugout. Actually bounces about 5-10 rows back. Good souvenir for those fans out there and those kids. No balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 4th inning, 4-0 Mariners. And so far, it's been the Dominic Canzone, Randy Arozarena game. Canzone doubled the center. Randy scored from first base. And the 2nd inning, making it 1-0. Then Arozarena doubled the right, scoring Naylor and Julio. And they challenged the tag, obviously at home on Naylor to get that 3rd run, and it ended up being upheld. He got his fingertips at home just in time, 3-0 Mariners. And then Dominic Canzone moments ago, homering to center field, 451 feet with a solo dinger, the longest out of any Mariner all season long, 451 feet. And with Bryce Miller, what can you say? He's got how many Ks? 6? 6 Ks so far, and he only has a 1 hitter, so everything is going Tridents up, at least so far early on. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Splitter, 83 miles an hour there by Bryce Miller. One strike from Miller to Carpenter. And this version of Bryce Miller is the best that we've seen out of Bryce ever. I mean, he's hitting top-end speeds that we've never seen him hit before, and he's able to pull back some of the top end speed to get the location. It's just great to be able to see an evolution, of a pitcher like Bryce Miller as well as Emerson Hancock. He was one of those guys that we didn't really trust. He was like the sixth man. Anytime he would come in when a guy would get hurt, his ERA normally would be in the 4s or the 5s. And we definitely have seen the evolution of Hancock this year, and Miller, same thing. Both of them looking fantastic. 1-2 pitch. Foul behind the plate. Now we just need Wu and Kirby to get back on track, and hopefully Gilbert and Castillo can end up being better than they have been. Same thing with Wu and Kirby. They have been roughed up lately in their last couple starts. Even though Wu, prior to that last start, was, getting to a nice little groove after he had 2 bad games and had a couple good games, but then ended up having a bad one yesterday. But I kind of feel that part of that is because we ended up going with a righty lineup rather than a lefty. And obviously Framber Valdez did a good job, even though he hit JP and injured him, hitting him on the hand, and he is day-to-day. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kerry Carpenter. 2-2 pitch, hard hit ball, deep right field, fading foul. Thank God. And a great catch from that fan out there. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 4th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Two-two pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Miller. Count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Kerry Carpenter. 3-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, high and away. Count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 4th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Slider, splitter, slider, 4-seam, splitter, slider, 4-seam, 4-seam. I like the way that Johnny is calling this game here today. 3-2 pitch, low and at the knees, and fouled off there towards first base and right field. First base coach there, Sanders, had to dive out of the way, so he avoided getting hit by that ball, as he has a little chuckle there with Kerry Carpenter at home. Count is still full, 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 4th, 4-0 Seattle. Let's go. 3-2 pitch, 4-seam fastball, high and inside, trying to jam Carpenter, and he fouls that one off. That was pitch number 10, getting Miller's pitch count up. Stop it, Carpenter. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. What a long at-bat. And you don't see too many at-bats go, over 10 pitches, that often. 3-2 pitch. And that one's fouled off again there by Carpenter. He is one of those guys that definitely have the Mariners' number more times than not. Has had a really good career against the Mariners since 2023. Kind of a thorn in our side, like Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve typically against us as well. You could throw Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez in those categories also. There's just certain guys that, usually give us the business regardless on who's on the mound. And Carpenter hit a homer against us yesterday, but hopefully he does not do that here today. 11 pitches in. 3-2 pitch, and finally ended up walking Carpenter on pitch number 12. That ends up being low and at the knees. Throw to second. Are we challenging? All right, Mando says we're at 108, 92 to go to 200. Now, it could be a double play with the out at second if we can actually get this call to go in our favor. Fuck, just underneath the strike zone. Missing it by 0.4. Yikes. What a long at bat there for Bryce Miller and Kerry Carpenter. And then the throw from Johnny was pretty accurate to second, but now we have runners at first and second with one out. This would be a good time for a mound visit, for Pareda and Miller to just kind of talk it over and to also give Miller a little bit of a breather. All right, next up is Riley Green. We need that Soto mojo and that Mariner magic. 313 average, 6 homers, 29 ribbies, and great defense in left field. He's already made 3 or 4 diving grabs against the Mariners going back to yesterday and today that had robbed us of some singles, doubles, and maybe even a triple. Little dribbler up the middle. Give me a double play. Throw back to first. Got him! What a double play by the Mariners. Woo! I love me great pitching, but I love me some great defense as well. Great double play. And again, we keep them still at 0. And again, they even ended up having a triple by Colt Keith a couple innings ago with 0 outs or 1 out. And then we still were able to get out of that mini jam, everything going Tridents up. All right, let's go to the top of the 5th and let's see if we can add on another run or 2. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2 with a run. Center fielder, it's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, 1 for 2 with a run, first baseman Josh Naylor. And batting third, 1 for 1 with a run, 2 RBIs and a base on ball, Randy Arozarena. Last time we saw Julio, Naylor, and Randy, they went back to back to back for hits and ended up getting us on the board. Let's see if they can do it again. 80 subs to go to 24,300. We are approaching, looks like we gained another sub. Thank you so much. 79 subs to go to 24,300. We are approaching 6 million views on the channel. We should hit that in a day or 2, which is exciting. And let's see where we're at on the likes. We're at 12 on the Dono train, I believe, 88 to go. And with 260 in the room, we are at 115, 85 likes to go to 200. This game is going a hell of a lot better than yesterday's game, I'll tell you that. Yeah, we're going to get Donnie, Vargas and Miles Mastrobuoni back. It looks like around June 5th or June 6th. But honestly, Cal Raleigh, may not be ready, until mid to late June. And depending on if he has a setback or not, they may end up just waiting until after the All-Star break for him to come back. Obviously he'll get some workouts and some time in the farm system to kind of rehab, but again, hopefully he doesn't have any setbacks, because again, I would love to have Donnie, and Cal back on the team. And honestly, I want to be able to have access to Miles Mastrobuoni, even though he won't be playing every day. He'll be just one of those guys that, emergency, just in case kind of guy. And then obviously adding Carlos Vargas, to the bullpen. We know he was a liability last year, but there was some good moments out of Vargas too. It's just about dialing back that top end speed and just trying to hit the locations a little bit more. And hopefully Vargas will be, an asset, not a liability. And, our bullpen is one of the best in MLB, just like our starters. And it wouldn't hurt to be able to add another piece, as long as, he's not going to be, like Castillo or Mooney, but we'll see. First pitch fouled off there by Julio Rodriguez. Slider 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Sinker 94 miles an hour by Kiter Montero. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. 1-1 pitch, Julio popping it up a mile. Torkelson is there at first, and that is 1 up and 1 down. All day in the building. What's good? But I miss Cal Raleigh. Let's not, kid ourselves. I miss him out there. But again, it's given a good opportunity for Pareda and Garver to kind of step up and get more experience. And obviously, I miss Donnie a lot too. Having a good leadoff hitter that more times than not is reliable. But again, injuries are a part of the game. And once we end up getting Cal and Donnie, our 1 through 9 is going to be scary. Looking at it on paper. And Kiter Montero hitting Naylor. Jesus, are you trying to injure our guy? Naylor's batting helmet flies off. I hope Naylor's okay. He's kind of laughing it off. Talking with Dingler there at the catcher there. So no hard feelings. And Naylor hit by a pitch we already saw. And it went right for the head and it hit him on the shoulder. Luckily, it didn't hit him in the neck. Because if it would have hit him in the neck, he probably would have had to exit like J.P. Crawford on Framber Valdez getting hit on the hand. So luckily, Naylor's got a thick-ass neck, and he ended up kind of hunching over like the hunchback from Notre Dame, and it ended up hitting his shoulder rather than the neck, thankfully. And Naylor, obviously not someone that you would want to scrap with, and looks like Naylor is okay at first base. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside with the knuckle curve. 81 miles an hour there by Kiter Montero. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, little dribbler towards third base and foul. 87 miles an hour. There by Kiter Montero. No balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. And again, there was guys that started off slow, in the first, maybe 10 or 15 games, but then have got it ramped up, like Julio Rodriguez, for example, played for the Dominican Republic, and he's having the best year after playing in the WBC, but initially was terrible, within the first 10 games. Double play, throw to first, and got him. Wow. After the Mariners get a big double play, the Tigers give it right back and get a beautiful double play there on Naylor and Randy. That's unfortunate, but again, I do love great defense. Lauren in the building, what's good? But I would agree, for a majority of the players that played in the WBC, to start off the year, and even right now, there's a lot of those guys, pitchers and hitters that are not playing well. But again, you're going to be playing in spring training, anyways. So you can't necessarily say it's just the WBC. Some of the guys obviously, playing in spring training, but I think not getting the reps with the team and, just having kind of that outside distraction, whatever it may be. But, there's a lot of guys, and a lot of high profile players, that still are waiting to turn it around. Some have gotten hurt, like Judge, obviously with the rib, but you can't necessarily place that on the WBC. And hopefully Judge will get healthy and get better. But again, Julio, one of those examples that Julio and Cal and Naylor were, one of the, worst hitters in baseball within the first, 10 games. We were the worst hitting team in baseball, early in the season, batting only 188 as a team. Thankfully, Naylor, got better. Julio, obviously having the best first half in his career so far here in year number 5. But obviously Cal went on a slump, got a couple hits, got hurt again. And obviously Cal got overworked last year, playing in the All-Star game, winning the home run derby, doing the WBC, catching almost every game for us. A lot of wear and tear, on those legs, squatting for 2 or 3 hours at a time for 162 games. Now, we know he didn't catch every game. We know Garver had a couple, that were mixed in, but a majority was Cal Raleigh. And it shows, you don't want to overwork your guys. Otherwise, you may have a big injury in that following season. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 5th and see who's up next year for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers in the 6th hole, first baseman Spencer Torkelson. Batting second, third baseman Colt Keith, who had a beautiful triple earlier on. And batting third in the 8th hole, center fielder Matt Bierling. First pitch from Miller to Torkelson. Fouls it off, high and inside, 0-1 count. Yeah, but it's not like they do the WBC every year, thankfully. It's only every few years, so 3-4 years out, so we won't have to worry about that for a few years. But I did enjoy the WBC, but I just didn't enjoy the aftermath of the WBC and a lot of these players struggling. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss by Torkelson. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 5th, 4-0 Seattle. 0-2 pitch, high and away, fouled off there by Torque. As that goes about 15 rows back, and a couple adults are scrambling for that souvenir. No kids around there in that particular section. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 5th. 4-0 Mariners. Tridents up. 0-2 pitch. Low and away with a sweeper missing there by Miller. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Torkelson. I got you. Just give me one moment, and I got you, Lauren. 1-2 pitch. And a hard hit ball by Torkelson into left field. Randy backing up and making the catch. And that is 1 up and 1 down. So far it's been Canzone and Arosarena for the most part. So Canzone doubled the center, and Arosarena was at first base and scored from first. So, it was a deep hit ball. 1-0 Mariners. Dom getting the party started early. 1-0 Mariners in the second. Then Randy doubled the doubled the right. Naylor and Rodriguez both scored. Tigers challenged on the second player, Naylor, going into home. So it was 3-0, and after the review it was upheld, and Naylor's fingers crossed home just as the tag was applied. 3-0 Mariners after Randy scored Naylor and Julio. And then Dominic Canzone homered on a solo dinger, 451 feet in the 4th inning, the longest home run in the Seattle Mariners season so far out of any player. So that's kind of how it's gone so far. First pitch from Miller to Colt Keith, fouls that one off, high and away, 0-1 count. So obviously Dom is having a great game, Randy having a great game, and then obviously Julio and Naylor getting involved early. 4 runs, 6 hits, and the best part, no errors. And we've even gotten a double play so far as well. So Miller pitching a fucking gem as well, much better than Wu yesterday. But remember, Wu had a righty lineup, not a lefty. And that definitely hurts when you don't have Luke Raley, Dominic Canzone, and Johnny Pareda playing, and you have the opposite, Mitch Garver, Rob Refsnyder, even though he did have a good game, and Victor Robles. I mean, I do like Victor, and Rob is, one of those guys. He's the worst hitter on the team, but, Dan still continues to play him, and I guess that's the splits are going to be what we're going to do all year, and that was kind of the same kind of method that, Scott Service, would manage the same kind of way. So, unfortunately, having Luke and Dom as everyday players is probably not going to happen, but it should. But it is what it is. 0-2 pitch, low and away, splitter 85 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Miller to Keith. One-two pitch, low and at the knees. Knuckle curve, 84 miles an hour there by Miller. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Colt Keith. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and another punch out there for Bryce Miller. I like what I'm seeing. 7th strikeout for Bryce. 4.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 72 pitches with 50 strikes with a 1.40 ERA. And obviously he is our hottest pitcher on our pitching staff at the moment. First pitch is high and away to Matt Vierling, 1-0 count. And from one stat nerd to another, obviously me and Reflect are always looking at all of those different stat numbers. And obviously Dom leading the lineup with highest OPS, almost batting 1,000. Colt at 878, like that. Colt has been fantastic. And again, just imagine if we had, Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone playing every day. Now, yes, when we're going against left-handed pitching, would Luke Raley and Canzone struggle a little bit? Yeah, they would, but again, I think they would still have a better chance of finding a hit, rather than Refsnyder or Garver or, Victor Robles, even though I do like Victor, but, especially with the defense and right. But, we got to go with our best players, but this is, how it's going to be, I guess. 1-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Miller to Vierling. 2-0 pitch, low and away. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Bryce, who's been absolutely fantastic today. 3 balls and no strikes to Matt Vierling. 3-0 pitch, taking a strike right down the middle. And I'm glad that they're not doing the splits anymore, because obviously it was hurting Bryce. Castillo doesn't even deserve to start. He should just be a bullpen pitcher, but, I guess with his ego and Mooney's ego and Dan Wilson not wanting to step on any toes, they're just going to try to keep things the way they are. But again, I am glad we're not splitting Miller and Castillo, because it obviously hurts Miller, in my opinion. He doesn't deserve, to have someone split with him, especially when he's the hottest pitcher on the team right now. They finally realized that, and I'm glad that we have Bryce on the mound, but unfortunately we got Castillo on the mound tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. Little slow dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is out, number 3. Good defense there by the Mariners, retiring Matt Vierling. Great job there by Bryce Miller. Billo with a tour. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. We're at 14 on the Dono train, 86 to go. Velasco in the building. What's good? End of the 5th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 with a K, right fielder Luke Raley. Batting second in the 6th hole, DHing Dominic Canzone. And batting third in the 7th hole, third baseman Patrick Wisdom. And I do apologize. It's showing me in between the photos. Obviously, they made some kind of update and ruined everything, on the program. And so I've already emailed them twice, letting them know, whatever they did, obviously is ruining, the flow of my stream and whatnot. And I don't want to cancel, what I got with them. But, they definitely, hopefully will make the change. But unfortunately, with the email process, it's like fucking AI. I can't even talk to a real person unless I call them and whatnot. And who knows how long I'd have to wait to get a hold of someone that actually would know what to do to make the change. But, again, with a lot of these streaming programs, they want to be able to make certain type of updates. But again, we want to make sure that streams are getting better, not worse. And hopefully they'll be able to fix that issue. But again, I haven't heard back yet. Everything should be seamless and smooth from one photo to the next. It shouldn't have to show, me in between, but, that's them, I guess. 79 subs to go to 23,400. We're at 14 on the Dono train, 86 to go. And we're at 127 likes. $73 to $200. Ando with a $5. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. And Drew Summers is coming in. I'm using StreamYard, and I have been using them for years now. I mean, I used to use OBS and whatnot, but it wouldn't give me the access really for the music and the photos and the ticker. So that's why I went to StreamYard for, some of these other things. But big swing and a miss there by Luke Raley. No balls and 2 strikes from Summers to Raley. O2 pitch, high and away with a 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 1 ball and 2 strikes from Summers to Raley. I mean, I'm probably the only one. But the thing is, if I can't have the ticker and the music and the photos, that's a part of, what I do here. So, and Raley pops up into right, and that is 1 up and 1 down. So it's like I need certain features and whatnot. So obviously I used to use OBS, long time ago. But again, they didn't have access really with the photos and the ticker and the music. And obviously I made this switch because I liked, those things and how seamless everything was. And everything was good until yesterday, until they made an update. And then obviously now, things are, a little off and whatnot. So hopefully they'll be able to fix that. And I assume I might be the only one on the platform doing baseball streams and doing this type of format and whatnot. But again, the photos are, a part of the stream and, it is what it is, I guess. First pitch to Canzone is high and inside, 1-0 count. Yeah, but I emailed them and got an AI email in response yesterday, and then they emailed me back. They said, "Oh, send a screenshot or like a little video." And then, of course, when I did that, it didn't support that in the email itself, so I couldn't even show them what was going on. And it's all AI. And like, are you happy? No, I'm not fucking happy. I'm gonna fucking cancel if you guys don't fix this shit. But it is what it is. I got to be able to continue to keep grinding. So, 2-0 pitch, takes a strike, looking right down the middle. 2 balls and 1 strike from Summers to Canzone. Now, there's a few other buttons that I can hit that I can like eliminate myself, eliminate the baseball cards, and then in between the photos, I can have a black screen, in between. But there's like so many buttons that I would have to click to do that, to be able to get back to this particular screen. So it shouldn't be that difficult for me to be able to click from one photo to the next and have it be seamless like it was. But 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking. Nice punch out there from Drew Summers, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Down goes Canzone. Next up is Patrick Wisdom. First pitch to Wisdom is in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch. Fouled off there by Wisdom. No balls at 2 strikes. From Summers to Wisdom. Come on, Pat. Yeah, and not only does the header on the bottom of the screen above the ticker get removed, then it also, shows me in between. It's frustrating. And there's a lot of different like overlays and whatnot. But again, whatever update they did definitely messed up the flow and the format for me. And down he goes. And that is out number 3. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning and see who's up next here for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers, 0 for 1 with a K, right fielder in the 9-hole, Wencel Perez. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, second baseman Gleyber Torres. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a base on ball, shortstop Phenom in the 2-hole, Kevin McGonigal. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 79 subs to go to 24,300. We are approaching 6 million views on the channel. We should hit that in a couple days. Very exciting. I believe we're at 14 on the dono train, 86 to go. And let's see where we're at with 241 in the room. We're at 130 likes, 70 more to get to 200. Five innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 78 pitches, 53 strikes, 1.38 ERA for Bryce Miller. Awesome. Let's keep it going. Bryce Miller with a 1-hitter. I know they ended up adding, an extra update for the music where you can kind of drag, depending on where the music is at. It's kind of like, when you see it on Spotify or other platforms where you can kind of drag it from one point of the song to the next. So if you want to be able to do that, so they added that part, so I'm not sure if that part of the update, messed up the other part with the photos and the overlays, but, and again, if I push a crazy amount of buttons and, go from one screen to me being full screen where the cards disappear, and then take my photo, me out of the picture, and then also take the cards away, and then I'll be able to, go through the photos, but still in between the photos is a black screen. I guess is a little bit better than, having other things disappear and having me shown in between. But I'm so limited with time, in between one pitch to the next and from one half inning to the next. So 1-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Miller to Perez. Let him know, Lauren. Bottom of the 6th, 4-0 Seattle. 2-0 pitch. In there for a strike, high and away to Wencel Perez. Beautiful four-seam fastball painting the corner by Bryce. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 6th, 4-0 Seattle. Me and Valhalla are buddies. Like I said, if I was ever to do, kind of a crossover, stream, that would be the person that I would want to do it with. But again, he's very busy, doing the Dodgers. I'm doing the Mariners and whatnot. And, we both know of each other and whatnot. I think the baseball community, as far as streamers, is pretty small. It's not like the NFL where you have, many, many people doing it. Some are good, some aren't, but on the baseball side, there definitely is less of us, a few Blue Jay streamers, a few Yankee streamers, obviously Valhalla doing the Dodgers, me doing the Mariners, but there's not like really a lot of us that are out there. So that, try to do every game, for example. There might be some people out there that do games here and there, but as far as consistently, doing almost every game, there's not really a lot of us out there. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Perez. Yeah, same thing with my best friend. Me and my best friend are both Mariner fans. Both of our dads are Dodger fans. My dad grew up in LA, so obviously lived in LA in the Colfax, Drysdale area when he was a little kid. And obviously he moved to Hawaii and now lives in Oregon here with me as well. Not together, but, not too far away, so we can still see each other and visit. And I ended up going into Valhalla's stream and, shooting him a little bit of a dono and congratulations, for obviously last year and them winning the World Series over the Blue Jays. So, I wish him the most success and hopefully he'll be able to keep growing, which I know he will, as well as us here at the NWSF. 2-2 pitch from Miller to Perez, fouls that one off towards first base. Slider 87 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Perez. Two pitch, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Miller to Perez. Three-two pitch. Strike 3 looking. Let's go. Bryce is locked in. Tiger hitters can't believe what they're seeing. And again, thankfully, we got our hottest pitcher on the mound. And Bryce Miller is wheeling and dealing. That is punch out number 8. "88 pitches, 60 strikes." So he's almost done here. But hopefully he'll be able to get these last 2 outs. And if he's able to get strikeouts on these last 2 guys, he'll be at 10. But this will probably be his last hitter, considering his pitch count. First pitch is low and away. Slider 89 miles an hour, 1-0 count. But a 4-0 lead, a 1-hitter with 8 Ks, I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. It would be awesome if he can get 1 more to get to 9, since he probably won't be able to pitch to that last batter. But big swing and a miss right down the middle. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Gleyber Torres. It's Miller time, baby. And again, it's good, considering what we had with Wu yesterday. So, but again, we didn't have our strong lefty lineup in with Wu. We had our righty lineup. So kind of knew that there was a chance that things could go sideways, and it did. But today, another story. This was a must-win game. We got the job done. It's not over yet, but it's looking good so far, as long as we don't have a meltdown in the pen. And we got Castillo on the mound tomorrow, and we know how that could go. So 1-2 pitch. And that is strike 3. Let's go. Bryce with another punch out, and they have no more challenges. And Torres is bitching and moaning, but they got no more challenges left. What are you going to do, Glaber? And if they would have challenged, that would have gotten overturned. But again, that's the 9th K. Let Bryce, continue to pitch. I mean, hell, even if Bryce gets to 100, who cares? He's at 92. Let him try to finish this off. I mean, he's got a one hitter. He hasn't shown any weakness. He has, but, got a little bit into mini jams, with a runner at third with no outs or one out, but we kept him stranded. And, we had runners at first and second. And again, we were able to get a double play. So, let him finish, and hopefully Dan is smart enough to let him. First pitch from Miller to McGonigal, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. 9 Ks there for Bryce. Let's see if we can get one more to get to 10. I mean, double-digit Ks is sexy. Again, it's really hard to do. And 9 is great, but, getting 10 and above is amazing. 1-0 pitch, a little dribbler towards first, and a flip back to Miller. Toe tap on the bag, and that is out number 3. So, unfortunately, he doesn't get his 10th K, but he still keeps a one-hitter with 9 Ks, and that's one of the best performances that we've seen out of any pitcher on the Mariners this season, and I'm so happy that Bryce Miller is on the Seattle Mariners. Let's go. So now Bryce is done, and hopefully our bullpen will be good in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Great job making up for the Woo outing yesterday. Great job, Bryce Miller. I love you. Way to bring that electricity. Next up for the Mariners, as we go to the top of the 7th, 0 for 2, shortstop Colt Emerson, who homered yesterday. What a fucking stud. Batting second, 1 for 2, catcher in the 9-hole, Johnny Pareda. Slowly but surely, showing that he might be the guy to be the backup catcher for Cal Raleigh instead of Mitch Garver if we move on from Garv. I see you, Johnny, 1 for 2. And batting third, 0 for 3, time to get your first hit as a leadoff hitter on the Mariners, second baseman Cole Clutch Young. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 79 subs to go to 24,300. And we gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 78 subs to go to 24,300. We're at 14 on the Dono train, I believe. 86 to go. And with 250 in the room, let's see where we're at on the likes now. We're at 138. $62 to $200. Final line for Bryce Miller, 6 innings pitched, 1 hitter, no earned runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks, 94 pitches, 54 strikes with a 1.33 ERA. Wow. We haven't seen anyone with an ERA like that in a long fucking time. Great job, Bryce. Giving us exactly what we needed and some. Keeping the Tigers at 0 and only giving up 1 hit. Very good. Jackie in the building, what's good? Rebecca, she loves it. Power Code loves it as well. Trident's up, let's go M's. First pitch from Summers to Emerson in there for a strike looking, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away with the sinker. 1 ball and 1 strike from Summers to Emerson. One pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Beautiful slider there by Drew Summers. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. And Bryce chopping it up with all of the teammates in the dugout. And again, what an exceptional performance by Bryce. Now, if we could just get everyone else on Bryce's level. But again, remember, if Bryce would have went against Framber Valdez today like Woo did, we're probably not up 4-0. The game could still be at 0-0, or maybe the Tigers are up, So again, it really does show you how important it is, to have a lefty lineup, going against a right-handed pitcher rather than going against a lefty like Framber yesterday with Woo and having a weaker righty lineup with Rob Refsnyder, Victor Robles, and Mitch Garver in rather than today, Johnny Pareda, Luke Raley, and Dominic Canzone. And obviously, Dom is, did his thing here today. 3-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Down goes Colt, and that is 1 away. Next up is Johnny Pareda. And are they making the pitching change? Looks like we're making another pitching change here. All right, Johnny is going to be up next. And Madden is coming in. All right, Ty Madden getting a chance to come in. All right, Ty Madden, the righty, is coming in. All right, top of the 7th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 78 subs to go to 24,300. We are approaching 6 million views on the channel, which is very exciting. Should get that within a day or two. We're at 14 on the Dono train, 86 to go, I believe. And we're at 144 likes. 56 to 200. Libra loves it. All right, Ty Madden coming in, and let's see what we can get here. And first pitch from Madden to Pareda, and look at Johnny. Johnny is really finding a nice rhythm, not only calling games, but also throwing guys, or at least attempting to throw guys out from the knees to second. And then has been a little bit better of a hitter than Mitch Garver as of late as well. After he hit that big home run, we know he loves to bat flip no matter what. Singles, doubles, home runs. It's just kind of his thing. Not to necessarily show up the other team, but, just the excitement of the game and all. And, Johnny obviously is really starting to come into his own. And again, if they end up moving on from Garv, I think we feel very confident having Pareda as the backup catcher to Cal Raleigh moving forward if that's the direction they go. Nice job there by Pareda getting that nice base knock. Next up is Cole Young. And I think Johnny calls a better game, obviously, as a catcher. And, Mitch is going to have his moments, from time to time. And that might have hit Cole Young there, and I believe it did. All right, and he does not go around. And Cole Young, 0 for 3. It may have not been a hit, but we'll take it. And it looks like it got him, on the wrist? And now we have runners at first and second with 1 out for Julio Rodriguez. Let's go. And obviously we ended up getting Kisner, in the offseason, and they let him go. But, I remember Johnny when he was on the Athletics, and, he had a little bit of a spark to him, but again, you just never really know how good a backup catcher is going to be until, they get enough reps. And again, I've been very impressed with what I've seen out of Johnny. And, again, it definitely gives us that good backup option if they decide to move on from Garver after this year. 0-1 pitch fouled off there by Julio. No balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. First pitch takes a strike looking right down the middle. Second pitch, fouls it off low and at the knees. Slider 84 miles an hour on pitch 2. Sinker 91 miles an hour right down the middle on pitch 1. No balls and 2 strikes from Ty Madden to Julio Rodriguez. 0-2 pitch, wild splitter that almost gets away from Dingler, the catcher. Good defense there by Dingler. Otherwise, runners would have advanced to second and third. And it'll be interesting if they go for a double steal, which we have done pretty often with runners at first and second lately. One-two pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Julio. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Captain in the building, what's good? Next up is Nails, Josh Naylor, 1 for 2 with a run. And Naylor with a slow dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is 3 up and 3 down. Unfortunately, we leave 2 stranded, but again, a 1-hitter by Bryce Miller, a 4-0 lead. Again, you know, we have a good chance, obviously, getting to 5 and beyond. We have 4 runs, 7 hits with no errors. They have no runs, 1 hit, and no errors. But now, who's going to come in for Bryce? And hopefully, they'll be able to be on the Bryce level here in these last 3 innings. Let's see who's up next here for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers, 0 for 2, catcher Dylan Dingler. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K. DHing today, Kerry Carpenter, who normally is one of the Mariner killers. Seems to homer off of us pretty often since 2023. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, a great hitter and a great defender in left field, Riley Green. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And we got Jose Ferrer coming in. I don't mind that one bit. Jose Ferrer, obviously, was a steal for us, considering Harry Ford has been struggling, and he's not even on the Nats. He's in AAA and only has 1 home run. So we might have fleeced the Nationals, and we obviously know that sometimes Ferrer is unreliable, but again, for the most part, he's been pretty damn good. And our bullpen is still one of the best in MLB, even though it may not seem like that all the time. But again, compared to a lot of the other teams that are in MLB, a lot of them would desperately love to have what we have, even though, you know, at times we're not happy, you know, but again, our starting pitching staff and bullpen are still 2 of the best, you know, top 10, obviously, with the starting, you know, pitching staff, and, you know, top 3, obviously, in the bullpen. All right, Jose Ferrer, let's get the job done. And I know all of us really appreciated Harry Ford, and we're thinking, oh, this guy could be the backup, you know, to Cal. But after, you know, getting Kisner and then getting Garver back and now Johnny Pareda, and knowing, you know, with the holes that we have in the bullpen, obviously a big trade that happened with Jose Ferrer in the offseason for Harry Ford, and obviously we won that trade. And we'll see what Harry, you know, does, if he ends up developing or not. But, you know, we definitely won that trade bringing Ferrer over. 4 starts for Bryce Miller with an ERA of .82. Is that good? 22 innings with an opponent batting average of 147, 25 Ks to 5 walks. And again, it's the first time that we've seen a Mariner player be injured and then come into the year and be better than he ever has in his career. And hopefully that will continue for the rest of the season. First pitch from Jose Ferrer to Dylan Dingler. High and inside, sinker, 86 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Yeah, 0% chance we go for Skubal. We don't need him. You know, we already got Ryan Sloan and Kate Anderson dominating in the farm system, and we already have 6 starters, even though Castillo should be in the pen. You know, you don't want to break up, you know, something that's, you know, going well for the most part, even though we've had our, you know, trials and tribulations and peaks and valleys. You know, we have a great pitching staff, you know, besides Castillo, and, you know, we wouldn't want to break anything up. And knowing our luck, if the Mariners were to trade for Skubal, chances are he'd probably get hurt. That's just our luck, you know, that if we were to do something like that, even though the organization wouldn't do it, but if we were to do it, you know, I would, you know, probably think that something bad would happen. You know, it wouldn't be like, oh, we got Skubal, and then all of a sudden, you know, he tears, you know,
some kind of, joint or, Tommy John or something, that would be just our luck. So we don't need him. Again, good player, has Seattle ties. But again, 3-0 pitch, and Dingler goes to first with a 4-pitch walk. Scooball will land somewhere, but again, we don't necessarily need him. There's quite a few teams that could use his services more than us. Next up is Jones. And they'll trade Scooball this year. They got to get something for him. So first pitch is fouled off to Jones. 0-1 count. But the Mariners, again, remember, prior to just a few years ago, they weren't really making any moves. But within the last couple years, they have. But there's no way that they would take on that salary. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Ferrer to Jones. One pitch, high and away. Plus, I like rooting for guys that are our guys, guys that we draft, guys that we develop, rather than bringing in a player from another team and hoping that it works out. Because a lot of times people that come to Seattle and they come from the National League or, the American League, sometimes it works out, but a lot of times it doesn't. Popped up, and Cole Young is there, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Down goes Jones. Yeah. Plus, we're probably going to be going into a strike next year. So, which is unfortunate. And hopefully they'll be able to get that resolved. I mean, I can't even imagine not having baseball to do here on the channel, and again, it's a big part of, obviously my life here, is doing Mariner games and doing MLB games for about, more than half of the year. And then obviously we do NFL and college football as well. Those are the 3 main things that we do here on the channel. So, I don't know if I'll have to get another job while we wait for the strike to end next year, but I might have to, unless I end up, just doing streaming, for other things, or just freestyle streams where we just hang out and, figure out, maybe like some old school game to watch together on YouTube for like the Mariners, and, we can hang out that way, or, but, obviously I'm going to need money to survive and whatnot. And if the Mariners are on strike with every other team for a few months, I might have to figure something out until we get to that point. I would rather stream rather than just work a part-time job for 20 hours a week at like Safeway, but something close to my house or something. But I guess we'll have to wait to see how long the strike will go. And Green pops up and flies out to left, and Randy is there, and that is 2 up and 2 down. First pitch from Ferrer to Torkelson. Takes strike looking right down the middle with a sinker, 98 miles an hour, 0-1 count. But if I can stream, even if baseball is, on strike, and we can still, I can still stay afloat, I would rather go that particular route. But, the last time we had a big strike was 94, 95, and it was, almost a whole year. So, got to figure it out. 0-2 pitch, low and away, change up 86 miles an hour there by Ferrer. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Spencer Torkelson. It's with the Players Association and obviously the owners. So they're trying to have a cap, so that way that it's fair for all the teams, not just like the Dodgers that spend all the money and the Yankees and the Braves and whatnot. So they want it to be a little bit more fair and have a salary cap just like the NFL and the NBA and NHL has and whatnot. So, and obviously with the Players Association, they don't want it because some of those guys want to get, crazy amount of money, right? So they want to be able to get those $500 million deals rather than maybe getting a $200 million deal. So obviously, I think a lot of the fans are actually going to be siding more with the owners rather than the players because, we want baseball, and whatnot. And again, guys deserve to get paid a certain amount, but there has to be limits and whatnot. And obviously if we have a cap, then it's going to make the game a little bit more even for those teams that are in the middle and on the back end. But just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to win World Series. Billo will tell you, he's a Yankees fan. Just because you spend money all the time doesn't mean you're winning World Series. But now for the Dodgers, they're spending money and it's working for them, But again, there's only about 6 or 7 teams that are above where they need to be right now compared to the other 23, and the Mariners are under, based on where their salary is right now. But, there is a chance that the strike could be, 2 months, half the year. Hell, it could be the whole season, if they don't agree and whatnot. And I know that would really be bad for us fans, and just for baseball in general, but hopefully they'll be able to figure it out. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the 8th. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2 with a run, 2 RBIs and a base on ball. Left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second in the 5-hole, right fielder Luke Raley. And batting third in the 6-hole, DHing Dominic Canzone. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Love me some Jose Ferrer, especially when he's playing like that. Top of the 8th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Still with a one-hitter combined between Bryce and Jose Ferrer, obviously being very clean, which is exactly what we want to see. And now we just got to be able to hope that this momentum will carry over Uncle Mo to Luis Castillo, who starts tomorrow at 10:40 a.m. So set your alarms accordingly. It'll be an early broadcast again tomorrow. And hopefully a similar result. But we obviously know with Luis, it's normally bad. But, hopefully it'll end up being at least average tomorrow. And hopefully he only gives up, 2 runs or less, 3 at the most. But again, if he ends up having a average to bad game, but the bats come alive, we can still win. But, we can't have the bats disappear and Castillo to be terrible and thinking that we're going to compete. So 1-0 pitch, low and away. Slider 84 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes to Randy Arozarena. And a nice little dribbler up the middle there by Randy Arozarena. Nice job, Randy. The team was a little bit different below when you guys had Soto, though. And guys, obviously you guys made it, but didn't win it. But I think, obviously you need, someone to be on that Judge level. And again, it's like, Giancarlo Stanton's kind of getting up there in age, and you've been able to pick up a few other guys from other teams to fill in some spots and, throw back to first. And, Ben Rice is, obviously kind of broken out and whatnot, but, injuries to key pitchers, as well as now injuries to Aaron Judge with the rib and whatnot. But, if they can ever get a star player like a Soto to pair up with Judge again, then that might be the time where the Yankees, end up making the World Series again and, battling it out with the Dodgers and whatnot. But, if we end up having a salary cap or something where they can actually, agree on, then it will make the game a little bit more even. You're still going to get dominance out of the Dodgers and the Braves and the Yankees and the teams that spend all that money and whatnot. But for the middle to bottom end, it'll improve, obviously, the game for those teams. So it's not so, one-sided. But there's also teams that don't spend a lot of money that have proven that they can still be a top team. So, you just got to be able to find that balance. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and no outs. Top of the 8th inning, 4-0 Seattle. Two-one pitch, high and away. Splitter 85 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike from Madden to Raley. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. Three-one pitch, high and away. Wow, they're going to call that strike 2? Luke thought that was a walk. Started to make his way to first, but they painted the corner there. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Let's see if we can get a nuke out of Luke. 3-2 pitch, and they jam Luke Raley. Shallow infield hit there by first base and caught. And that is 1 up and 1 down. It's going to be a 4-game set, I believe, against the Orioles, so it's going to be challenging. And then we got a 3-game set against the Nationals. We just have to hope that we can go 5-5 or better. 6-4 would be nice or better, but, you know, the worst I think that we would do is if we ended up going on a bad losing streak, you know, it would be maybe 3-7 out of these next 10 games. Obviously, we lost yesterday and we're potentially going to win here today, but I'm hoping, you know, we can go 6-4 or better, but we'll see. And Canzone with another base knock. What a game. Dominic Canzone dominating here today. A 3-for-4 day for Dom. And again, if we went against a lefty, we would not be up 4-0 right now. A game could end up being, you know, where we may be down 4-0, like, you know, kind of like we were yesterday at certain points. So next up is Patrick Wisdom. Great job there by Dominic Canzone. Dom is dialed in. I love it. Love seeing Dom and Luke, you know, play great, but usually they don't play great in the same game. If you've noticed, a lot of times it's, you know, one guy or the other, but every once in a blue moon, you know, they'll both lock in and dominate in a game. But, you know, as long as they're, you know, one of them is doing enough for us to win, I mean, that's all that matters. But obviously the more, the merrier. First pitch is high and away to Patrick Wisdom, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Madden to Wisdom. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Top of the 8th inning, 4-0 Mariners with a 1-hitter from Bryce Miller. And so far, so good with Jose Ferrer. And we'll figure out who's going to be coming in here in the bottom of the 8th. 2-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Slider 83 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with runners at first and second and 1 out. Top of the 8th inning, 4-0 Seattle. And I'm glad that we don't have to worry about rain today. That was another thing that was going against us besides having a lefty on the mound, Framber Valdez, and a weaker lineup. That rain, you know, anytime we end up playing, you know, Detroit or Minnesota, and we have to deal with these fucking places that have rain and snow all the time, and they don't have a dome, it's just ridiculous. And, you know, anytime we deal with rain, more times than not, we lose. So, I mean, who would have thought if you live in an area that's got a lot of rain and snow, you probably should have a dome or at least a retractable roof. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss there from Patrick Wisdom, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Nice punch out there for Ty Madden and the Tigers. You know, I try to add ones that I feel that, you know, are kind of sport, you know, feel, you know, baseball feel, because there's a lot of others that he makes that, you know, might be a little too slow or a different type of rhythm that may not fit as well. So I try to go through, you know, and he's been grinding. He's made, you know, 100, almost 140 beats within the last maybe 6-7 months, you know, and again, I got about 30, you know, here in the bucket that I feel that I can use. And even with the 30 that I have, I only use maybe about 10 or 12, you know, per stream. Usually every once in a while I'll mix in, you know, some that we may have not heard and whatnot, but I'm just waiting for him to be able to make something that I feel that will fit the channel. And, again, he's made a couple within the last few days, but I just feel that they haven't really necessarily been a fit, you know, for this particular stream. But, you know, I assume that he'll be making more within the next couple days, and we'll see if there's anything else that I can add on. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Madden to Emerson. But this will be one of the newer ones from Brooks. But I haven't been able to find anything besides this one out of the, you know, few that he's made recently that I think fit. But they'll you know, he's a grinder. I mean, he's very, very talented. You know, he can make beats that are R&B, rap related. You know, alternative. I mean, you name it, he can do it. So just kind of based on how he feels and whatnot. So. 2-2 pitch popped up a mile. Dingler is there. and that is out number 3. We leave 2 stranded, but that's all right. We still got a 4-0 lead. Now let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning and see who's up next here for the Tigers. Next up for the Tigers, 1 for 2 with a K, with a big triple earlier in the game, Cole Keith. Batting second, 0 for 2, center fielder Matt Vierling, who did not play yesterday. And batting third in the 9-hole, right fielder Wenzel Perez, and he didn't play either. And Brash is coming in. So great job there by Jose Ferrer. Definitely getting on the level that we all know that he can be at, and hopefully Matt Brash will play well here. Was shaky, a few days ago, but hopefully he'll be able to get the job here today. All right, Brash coming in. Trident's up. Let's go M. 78 subs to go to 24,300. 14 on the dono train, I believe. 86 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes. 235 in the room. And we're at 148. 2 more to 150. 52 to 200. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Yeah, and I got a lot of beats that are like kind of mellow like this, that might be a little bit slower. It kind of just depends on the flow of the game, and also, in between the commercial breaks and whatnot. So I have a lot that would be normally for, in between commercial breaks, and just kind of a slow jam type of feel and kind of a vibe and whatnot. So I can always mix in a few of the others that we haven't played in a while. Matt Brash enters the game here for the Mariners. First pitch is low, way to Colt Keith with the slider, 85 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike with the slider, 87 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Brash to Keith. Libra in the building, what's good? Angry in the building, what's good? Trident's up, let's go M's. 1-1 pitch, little dribbler up the middle. Get it, Brash, get it, Brash. Throw to first, and just in time, 1 up and 1 down. Makes me nervous when you have those slow dribblers that go right in front of the pitcher, because sometimes they freak out and, throw high, and then all of a sudden a single turns into a double. But nice job there by Brash getting his feet set. And obviously we know Josh has had some issues at first, recently, but for the most part, he's been very reliable at first base, offensively and defensively, thank God, after having a very slow start to the year with Julio and Cal in those first 10 games. First pitch to Vierling almost hits him, and Vierling has to kind of get out of the way. 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, slider right down the middle there by Brash. 1 ball and 1 strike to Matt Vierling. 1-1 pitch, a little slow dribbler. Young is there. Throw to Naylor. 2 up and 2 down. One hitter by the Mariners so far. And hopefully we can keep it that way. I would like us to get to 5, if we could get to 5, before this game is over. But, if we end up winning 4-0, I don't think any Mariner fan's going to complain, especially after the performance yesterday. And then we got Luis Castillo on the mound tomorrow at 10:40 Pacific, a.m. Pacific. So, obviously, if you're on the West Coast and live in Oregon, Washington, or you're out here, make sure you set your alarms accordingly. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking low and at the knees with a changeup. 90 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Brash to Perez. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 1-1 pitch, high and away with the slider, 85 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to Wencel Perez. 2-1 pitch, high and away. Slider missing there by maybe an inch. 3 balls and 1 strike from Brash to Perez. Yeah, well, luckily for me, with T-Mobile, I get a few things included in my plan, with like Netflix and Hulu and whatnot. Apple TV Plus used to be free, but now it's like $3 a month, so it's not a big deal there. But, and every once in a while, I'll do like little trials of like, Peacock or, Paramount Plus. Usually I won't keep those, or like Amazon Prime. Usually I won't keep those for, the whole year. But, here and there, I might have them for a couple months, with like a trial period and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, everyone thought, with cable, that was the way to go. But then now with the apps and everything's spread out on all these apps, and it's not just baseball, it's football, basketball, hockey. It's like you do have to have quite a few, applications if you want to be able to watch the games live. So that's just the world that we live in with AI and everything else, moving forward. So 0-1 pitch, low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike from Brash to Torres. 1-1 pitch, another ball there from Brash. 2 balls and 1 strike from Brash to Torres. Pitch is high and away with a sinker, 97 miles an hour. And I feel like, with the AI movement, it's going to do more negative than positive. But that's the world that we live in, and we just have to adapt. 2-1 pitch, fouled off there by Glaber. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Bottom of the 8th inning, 4-0 Mariners. Bryce Miller, Jose Ferrer, and Matt Brash trying to get the job done. We still have a 1-hitter. We have 4 runs and 9 hits with no errors. They don't have any errors as well, but this has definitely been a game that we've dominated from the beginning and hopefully at the end as well. And as that one gets fouled back behind the plate to the Blue Moon sign. Back when I used to drink beer on the regular, definitely one of my favorite beers to get on tap with a little orange peel inside. You can't match that flavor. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Brash to Torres. 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 looking. And we've been able to get quite a few of those here today. And obviously we know they ran out of challenges, within the first 4 innings, and we lost the ability to challenge yesterday after around the 4th and the 5th. And that's why it's so important, to be kind of cautious when you challenge, because if you challenge twice in an inning and you lose both, and you challenge, within the first 3-4 innings, you never know where a critical challenge may be needed later in the game. And if you don't have access to it, then I'm not saying you will lose just because of that reason, but it definitely would hurt. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's go to the top of the 9th. And our last opportunity to be able to get to 5 runs and beyond. Let's see if we can do it. Ever since Johnny Pareda hit this home run, he has been on a whole nother level. 2 for 3, catcher Johnny Pareda. Let's go, Johnny. Definitely an upgrade from Mitch Garver as the backup catcher. And maybe we have found our new backup to Cal Raleigh for the foreseeable future. No disrespect to Garver, but I think we like what Johnny has been doing behind the plate and in the box a little bit better than Garver. Batting second, 0 for 3 and getting hit by a pitch. Let's see if we can get a clean hit for Cole Clutch Young. Filling in for J.P. Crawford as the leadoff hitter, leading off for the very first time in his career. And J.P. is day-to-day after getting hit in the hand by Framber Valdez. And batting third, 1 for 4 with a run and a K. In the 2-hole center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Let's see if Julio can get his second hit. And maybe we can get a cheap late home run here in the top of the 9th. Try dance up. Let's go, M's. Let's go, Johnny. And I love, seeing players improve. Emerson Hancock improving, Bryce Miller improving, Johnny Pereda improving. And obviously we've had some guys go in the opposite direction. Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, Andres Munoz, compared to, what we expect of them, but there's still time, to turn things around. And, hopefully we can get those guys to, be on the, up and up rather than where they've been all season. First pitch from Madden to Pereda in there for a strike, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, takes another strike looking with the slider. Low and at the knees, but right on the line. No balls and 2 strikes from Ty Madden to Johnny Pereda. O2 pitch, hard hit ball into deep right field. Wencel Perez is there, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Again, there's going to be some things, that AI will be good for when you want to, look up some information, and to see, what it says to, maybe get more specific with, stats and other things that you're looking up. But, for, doing videos and not knowing if something is real or not, obviously there's going to be a lot of negative things on the AI, and obviously certain people are smart. They can, for the younger generation, I feel people can figure out, when things are fake. But for the older generation, when they see a video, they may not be able to tell the difference on something that's real or fake and whatnot. So 0-1 pitch, little slow dribbler there by Cole Young, my boy. And Young getting his first hit of the game after getting hit on the hand earlier on. Nice job there by Cole Clutch Young. Nice job, Cole. I love you. I love the combo with Emerson and Young finally on this team. Obviously, it took some injuries for it to happen, and I want Cal and Brandon Donovan back, but definitely, great to be able to see the young guns improve. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. See if we can get a little rally going here in the top of the ninth. First pitch into Julio for a ball, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, and Julio pops it up into deep center field, and that is 2 up and 2 down. Yeah, and I think, like I said, looking up information, that you're looking for, you can do the general search, and then hit the AI button and see, anything above and beyond that you might have missed based off the initial search. I do that as well, but again, I think there also is going to be some negative things, obviously, with it as well. And obviously with all of the data centers and everything else, if you end up having one of those in your hometown, good luck, because again, it's going to end up ruining water and, a lot of other things are going to end up being more expensive, so a lot of people will be upset, with this AI push for sure, especially if you have an AI data center in your hometown. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, fouled off there by Naylor, out of play. Slider 81 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Madden to Naylor. Now, I know they can end up using some of those data centers underwater like they're already doing right now, so with the cooling that they would need and whatnot. But obviously some are going to have to be in big warehouses and whatnot. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Top of the ninth with a runner at first and 2 outs. Mariners with a 4-0 lead, holding the Tigers to a 1-hitter today with Bryce Miller dominating and Ferrer and Brash looking very good, obviously filling in after him as well. Yeah, agreed. One-two pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Naylor, and we leave one stranded, but it's all right. We still got the 4-0 lead. 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors, and now we just got to be clean here for McGonigal, Dingler, and Jones, and hopefully we'll be able to end up getting this victory and we can stay clean with the one hitter, but we'll find out. Jamal Jones is coming in. Or Jahmai Jones, excuse me. All right, last but not least, 0 for 2 with a base on ball. Phenom for the Tigers, shortstop rookie Kevin McGonigal, batting second. Very good season so far in the 3-hole, Dylan Dingler. And then batting third, coming in, will be Jahmai Jones. And hopefully we'll be able to go through these 3 batters quickly, and we'll find a way to get the job done here. Tridents up, let's go M's. Very dominant performance, by our pitching staff today. Thankfully, we ended up going against a righty, not a lefty. Like we had Framber Valdez yesterday. We had Kiter Montero, the righty, today. Dominic Canzone doubled the center. Randy scored from first base, 1-0 Mariners. Rosarina doubled the right in the third, scoring Naylor and Julio, 3-0 Mariners. And Dominic Canzone in the 4th inning had the longest home run of the season out of any player in Seattle, 451 feet. To center field, and it's been 4-0 Mariners since the 4th inning, and we haven't got anything production-wise in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and now in the 9th inning for both teams. But again, we have held them to a one-hitter, and hopefully we will the rest of the way here. And now we got Gabe Spire in to kind of close out the game. Let's go, Gabe. First pitch is low and away with a sinker there by Gabe Spire, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, popped up, and drops fair. And now we've given up our second hit of the game, and that ends up being a stand-up double on Gabe Spire by the Phenom rookie, Kevin McGonigal. Come on, Gabe. We just went from a one-hitter to a two-hitter. Next up is Dylan Dingler, and then Jahmai Jones. Nice leadoff double there by McGonigal. Blue Jay in the building. How are you, brother? First pitch from Spire, popped up there by Dingler. And Pareda hustling in foul territory, but just can't get to it. 0-1 count. Bottom of the 9th. Runner at second. McGonigal with no outs. 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Mariners. 0 runs, 0 errors, only 2 hits. And McGonigal just got the second hit for the Tigers all game. So a very dominant performance. But again, we want to make sure we can win 4-0. A lot of times when we have a team at 0 for whatever choke at the end and they end up scoring a run. But it would be great if we can end up getting a shutout here based on losing the game yesterday with Wu on the mound and our weaker righty lineup with Ref Snyder as well as Victor Robles and Garver in the lineup yesterday. Popped up to Julio, and that is 1 up and 1 down. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez in the no-fly zone. And again, we do have a big challenge tomorrow, right? Because we got Luis Castillo on the mound, and we know how things typically go. Now, he did have a pretty good start a few starts ago, and now it'll give him an opportunity to, start from the first inning, and I don't know how long he'll last tomorrow. Since we're not splitting Miller anymore, it's unfair to Bryce to do the split with Castillo, and luckily they realized that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had a performance like this. So, got to keep Bryce, hot, and you want to make sure you're not, punishing Bryce, for Luis's issues. First pitch from Spire to Jones, slider low and at the knees, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch from Spire. low and at the knees again, this time with a sinker, 96 miles an hour, 2 balls and no strikes to Jahmai Jones. Two-0 pitch in there for a strike looking there by Spire. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jahmai Jones. Bottom of the ninth, 4-0 Mariners with a runner at second, McGonigal with 1 out. 2-1 pitch, low and away. Count now is 3 balls and 1 strike from Spire to Jones. Three-one pitch, and that almost hits Jones in the leg. And after having a dominant Bryce Miller, a dominant Jose Ferrer, and a pretty dominant Matt Brash, now fucking Gabe Spire, I'm not saying he's shitting the bed, but, you know, we had a one hitter and everything was going good and whatnot, but now Gabe is in here at the end, and they got Mooney warming up. And now we have runners at first and second and 1 out. Can we just fucking win with a shutout for once instead of just giving up a cheap run or two at the end of the game? Just kind of seems like it's our MO. You know, we always end up finding a way to get a game like this, but, you know, it's very tough for us to win, you know, with the shutout. It just seems always we end up, you know, letting the team kind of crawl back into the game. You know, they may not win, but I would rather win 4-0 than 4-1, especially based on how we played today. But it's going to be up to Gabe to get us out of this jam. Otherwise, if he gives up another hit, then we probably will see Mooney come into the game, but we don't really know how that will work out either. First pitch is fouled off there by Riley Green, 0-1 count. Come on, Gabe. Oh-1 pitch, high and away, sinker at 96 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike from Spire to Green, who is a great hitter and a great defender out there in left field, has robbed us of a few singles and doubles for diving catches in Game 1 and today here in Game 2. 1-1 pitch, fouled off behind the plate, four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour by Gabe Spire. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Riley Green. Come on, Gabe, finish strong. Yeah, double play to bail him out would be great. 1-2 pitch to Green. High and inside, four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Riley Green. No, we don't want him. We wouldn't want to blow up our team for someone that more than likely would get hurt. He does have Seattle ties, but we don't want him. Little ground ball. Give me the double play. Throw to first. Got him. And that is the ball game. There we go. We actually get a shutout. You ask for the double play, you get the double play. Nice job, Reflect. And now let's go into the stat line here, as well as what we do when the Mariners win. Unbelievable. We actually win 4-0, huh? Final score, Mariners 4, Tigers 0. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win, Mariners win, Mariners win. Fuck yeah. Made up for yesterday losing 7-3, and we got Castillo on the mound tomorrow. So let's go over the stat line for both teams. We'll start it off first with the Tigers. So Gleyber Torres started off here with the Tigers. So 0 for 4 for Gleyber. McGonigal 1 for 3, getting a hit there in the bottom of the ninth. Dylan Dingler 0 for 3. Kerry Carpenter 0 for 1. Jahmai Jones 0 for 1. Riley Green 0 for 4. Spencer Torkelson 0 for 3. Colt Keith 1 for 3 with a triple earlier in the game, but we left him stranded after getting the triple with no outs or 1 out, and we were lucky that they didn't score then. Good defense by the Mariners. Matt Vierling 0 for 3, and Wenzel Perez 0 for 2. And now let's go with the Mariners. Cole Young 1 for 4. Julio Rodriguez 1 for 5 with a run. Josh Naylor, 1 for 4 with a run. Randy Arosarena with a good game, 2 for 3 with a run and 2 RBIs. Luke Rayleigh, a unfortunate 0 for 4, but we still got the victory. And Dominic Canzone, the best player today, the MVP, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, a home run, and a run. It was all about the Italian Stallion today. Patrick Wisdom, 0 for 4. Colt Emerson, after hitting a home run yesterday, goes 0 for 4 today, and hopefully he'll be able to get something going tomorrow. And Johnny Pareda with a great game, 2 for 4, for your backup catcher. Technically third string, but the way that he's been playing, it should be second string. Miller gets the win, who improves to 2-0, which is absolutely fantastic. And ERA, obviously, so low. And then Montero ends up getting the loss and goes to 2-4. So I'm glad we were able to end up getting the victory here today. And again, it definitely makes up for the 7-3 loss, yesterday. And again, hopefully this will give us that Uncle Mo and that, that momentum that we need, because we do have Luis Castillo on the mound tomorrow. So 10:40 a.m. start. And again, Castillo will be on the mound tomorrow. So we have a 6-man rotation. I don't know how long that they'll do that for. At some point, they can just put Castillo in the pen. They don't have to have him starting, but again, that's Dan Wilson's choice, and we'll see where it goes. So final score: Seattle Mariners 4, Tigers 0. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. I got to take Paisley on another walk here, and again, it'll be a victory walk, which is great. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 10:40 a.m. sharp, and that'll be with Luis Castillo starting. So set your calendars and your alarm clocks, because it will be an early start, obviously, here on the stream tomorrow, 10:40 a.m. Pacific. So I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys. Shout out to Alex getting us started, as well as Reflect, Billo, and with Mando as well. Appreciate you guys very, very much, as well as all of the new subs. Take care. Appreciate you guys. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Tridents up and go Mariners.